Welcome to our first ever virtual Senior National Honor Society ceremony. This is a very special event which allows us to honor the accomplishments, both academic and extracurricular, of those seniors who are members of the National Honor Society. In 1921, the National Association of Secondary Schools Principals established the National Honor Society. Under the leadership of Edward Reinerson, principal of the Fifth Avenue High School in Pittsburgh, the principals set out to create an organization whose objective was to create enthusiasm for scholarship, to stimulate a desire to render service, to promote leadership, and to develop character in the students of secondary schools. To symbolize these qualities, the new organization chose as its logo the keystone emblazoned with the torch of knowledge at its heart. The colors of the National Honor Society are royal, blue, and gold, and its flower symbol is the yellow rose. The National Honor Society ideals of character, scholarship, leadership, and service are certainly as relevant today as they were in 1921. The ideals that the society embraces are essential to citizens in a democracy. Instilling these characteristics in students today goes a long way in preparing tomorrow's leaders. The idea that one has an obligation to use one's talent, skills, and knowledge for the betterment of others is the cornerstone of the National Honor Society and, coincidentally, the hallmark of a Jesuit education. The Scranton Prep chapter of the National Honor Society is named after the Reverend John A. Convery, S.J. Father was Prep's beloved headmaster from 1950 to 1958 and is often thought of as the one who was responsible for preparing Prep for the future. The charter of the Honor Society at Scranton Preparatory School states that members of the National Honor Society should be looked upon as outstanding students of the school. The students we recognize today represent in a very clear way the traditions and values of Prep. Each of them has achieved a numerical average of at least 90% and has made a significant effort in extracurricular activities and service and has demonstrated outstanding character. Traditionally, when we have this ceremony at Prep, there are candles on the front of the stage that represent the key values of the National Honor Society. Each of the candles represents the four qualities of the National Honor Society member: character, scholarship, leadership, and service. 4 senior members of the National Honor Society have been selected by their peers as best embodying these qualities and are representing each of these candles. They have been asked to offer a brief reflection on the meaning of the quality for which they were chosen. I hope that you will enjoy their reflections.
Hello and good morning. My name is Isabelle Bakali and I light the candle of character. In the face of adversity, older peers and mentors are often fond of telling us that unpleasant circumstances should be endured because supposedly difficult times will shape us into better people by building character. So what is character, and why is it a crucial pillar to uphold as a Prep graduate? Everyday character is about more than merely being a good person. It reflects a personal commitment to not only being good people ourselves, but doing good in the world around us. There are endless attributes to good character: integrity, respect, faith, but simply put, character is ultimately a more convenient way of describing what we do when we think no one else is around. During one of the many homilies given by Father Maher, he spoke of success in the context of a Jesuit education. What I gathered from his homily was that we shouldn't measure the impact Prep has had on us by our own individual success, but rather how many people's lives have been improved because we went to Prep. This concept struck me and shaped the way I viewed success in my following years at Prep. While it is true that our education has undoubtedly shaped us into the young men and women we have become, our education will go to waste if we only use it to improve our own lives. A question that Jesuits are often fond of asking is, how ought we to live? While it is difficult to fully answer this question, the values of the National Honor Society, those being everyday character, service, and scholarship, come very close to doing so. Our Jesuit education has taught us that we ought to live lives that reflect our character. Character that is anchored in faith, that strives for justice, and that demonstrates a will to be men and women for others. Our character is not merely a reflection of ourselves, but the sum of the personalities of those we surround ourselves with and let influence us. Personally, I'm eternally grateful to attribute my character to the influence of my incredible parents, loyal friends, and the entire class of 2020. The character of the class of 2020 is undeniably resilient. We've lived through more in 4 years than some generations have faced in an entire lifetime. Each member of this class exemplifies true character in their own unique way. Our class is filled with activists, storytellers, scholars, and some of the most selfless people I will ever meet. This class has proven itself to be loyal to each other and our school community in the best and worst of times. I've been incredibly privileged to be a part of the class of 2020, and I can say with complete confidence that if everyone exemplified the kind of character my peers have, the world would be a much better place. Class of 2020, thank you for everything you have taught me. I hope to live up to the example you have set for me, and I know that you will leave prep and continue to leave your mark on the world the way you have on mine. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kaylee Bridgman, and I light the candle of scholarship. The difference between a student and a scholar can be a minute one. We're all students as a token of our being here at Scranton Prep, whether we actively enjoy the day-to-day or groan as we hastily button up skirts and straighten ties exactly 1 minute and 24 seconds before missing the bus yet again. Any one of us can show up to our classes, copy down notes, hustle off to sports, rehearsals, and clubs after school, rush through homework assignments, and find a few hours of sleep before waking up to do it all again. We are all subject to this monotony, not by any shortcomings of our own, but simply as a result of subscribing to a traditional system of education. So we are all students then, but what exactly forms the distinction between a student and a scholar? The scholar maintains the ambition to work beyond competency, to not settle for what is expected of them, but rather push the boundaries of what they know they are capable of, opting for an AP or honors course liable to demolish their GPA, because they know the knowledge to be gained far exceeds the worth of an arbitrary number. Pursuing physics and mathematics, psychology and language, and history and politics on their own time, not for the reward of praise or recognition, but for the intrinsic value contained within it. The singer pushing their last shred of breath into the final power note. The runner sprinting the remaining 100 feet of the marathon. That is scholarship. To obtain this, however, an important distinction needs to be made between activity and passivity in the pursuit of education, whether traditionally academic or otherwise. The passive student is one who goes about the day mindlessly, obtaining the test scores necessary to appease teachers and parents, jogging just enough laps to stay on the team, and expending just enough energy to finish the final sketch. But ultimately, nothing more. While there's nothing inherently shameful or obviously distinct about the passive student, more often than not they graduate, collect a degree, find a job, and start a family just as we all might, they miss out on the underlying truths of an education not necessarily from lack of effort, but from a lack of finding the value offered to them. The active student, by contrast, takes advantage of what they are given. They ask questions, pry further to discover fundamental truths, and find contentment in discovering them. They pursue their education beyond the confines of the classroom, exploring connections between subjects, interests and passions, and their values because they find satisfaction in doing so. The active student, the scholar, is the one that doesn't settle, but pushes the bounds of their capabilities, evolving as a person in the process, and leaving their community as a stronger, more pleasant place as a result of their being in it. While it's easy to become fixated on overt instances of this, the founding of nonprofits, running of classes and workshops, and initiating of service projects, the true scholar maintains this commitment regardless of scale. And consequently, many of their actions take the form of the more mundane. The scholar is the one who stays up until midnight, helping her younger brother study for his English exam before ever thinking to confront her own fear of physics. The scholar pulls her friend outside minutes before the audition to teach her exactly how to land the final note. The scholar creates essays and artwork that lead us to ponder, crafts solutions that inspire, and presents ideas that spark impact. And yet this is scholarship. True scholarship lies where the individual pushes beyond the bounds of the classroom to find something they are truly passionate about and can serve as a positive force and as a consequence of their engaging with it. Making positive change, acting in selflessness, pursuing the betterment of our communities, all appealing notions to the moral person. But one cannot achieve those without sufficient knowledge, and that sufficient knowledge cannot be obtained without sufficient ambition to ground oneself in. Sure, some of us are gifted with natural intelligence and ability, others with wealth and opportunity, and while these are both admittedly advantageous in the pursuit of scholarship, both the former and particularly the latter are near useless without the applications of diligence, curiosity, enthusiasm, and raw effort. The path to scholarship can be a tedious one, filled with many stumbles and stutters, but thanks to teachers, mentors, parents, coaches, and peers who have inspired and encouraged both myself and my classmates before, during, and after our time at prep, it remains an attainable ideal, and one that we can forever be grateful to carry with us now and through our futures, regardless of how we make them. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Scranton Prep. My name is Katie Collins, and I light the candle of leadership. It is no secret that Scranton Prep is home to many leaders. Whether in sports, in academics, in extracurricular activities, or in the community, we see it every day. Because we are surrounded by this leadership shown in small acts, we sometimes fail to recognize the lack of kindness, compassion, and empathy outside of our school. We are in a time when leadership is undeniably necessary, not only as a country, but in communities around the world. The world is in dire need of leaders such as those that the Scranton Prep community is overflowing with. Now, in this dark time, leadership has a different meaning. Leadership is unity rather than division. Leadership is kindness over cruelty. Leadership is knowledge over ignorance. Leadership is acceptance over exclusion. Leadership is making sure that people who have been oppressed are given a voice. This is the leadership that I see every day in prep students. When I first came to prep, I was nervous about acclimating to a new environment. Immediately, my nerves were calmed. Every aspect about prep is about making people feel welcomed. As a freshman, I experienced leadership from student council, soccer captains, and other upperclassmen that was unmatched. This leadership inspired me every day to try to make others feel just as comfortable as I felt. This same openness and thoughtfulness I felt from several teachers. Not only do prep teachers strive to educate their students in the classroom, but they also strive to form relationships with us as well. Now that I'm graduating, it is an honor and a privilege to be able to know that I will always have a friend in my teachers at prep. Having to forfeit the latter part of our senior year to a worldwide pandemic has been eye-opening. An event like this truly brings out the leaders in our communities. I've learned from my classmates to stay positive, even when it seems like there is no hope. I've also learned from prep teachers and administration that where there's a will, there is a way. Despite restrictions, we were still able to have classes, a graduation parade, a talent show, a play, and now a real graduation. I'm thankful every day for the leaders of our prep community. JFK once said, "It is time for a new generation of leadership, to cope with new problems and new opportunities, for there is a new world to be won." We are that generation. We won't turn a blind eye to the injustices of the world. We will not only speak our minds, but we will take a step back to listen. We will empower each other. The Scranton Prep class of 2020 is overflowing with leaders. Because of this, our generation has the power to change the world. I encourage you all to speak your minds and spread your ideas. Stand up against injustices, protest, sign petitions, vote for leaders that you trust. Martin Luther King said, "Our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about the things that matter." So we must not be silent. Now is the time to use our voices, lead in the way that Scranton Prep has taught you. Be compassionate, thoughtful, and caring. Go forth and set the world on fire.
Hello, I am Fiona Neville, and I will be lighting the candle of service. To put it plainly, an act of service is an act of humanity. To serve others is to see them, to hear them, and to help them. Service reminds us that we are not merely men and women for others, but that we are men and women with others. We are most fully human when we live in community with one another, where we are both loved and loved. I've learned the most important lessons of my life whilst serving people in need. When I was a freshman at prep, I could not grasp the important role that service work would assume as an educator in my life. It wasn't until I volunteered at a Seasons of Love dinner, due to the persistent encouragement of my older sister, that I understood just how transformative it is to serve others. Instead of reinforcing any notions of my own self-righteousness, my experiences volunteering fed me spoonfuls of humility. The people whose meals I was rationing out didn't just need or appreciate my help. I needed them too. I desperately needed their reminders. Be compassionate. Be grateful. Know when to ask for help. Laughter, smiles, and kindness supersede any barriers. Check your privilege. I learned early on that service has many forms, but I understood the different mechanisms through which I can be of service as I progress through prep. My earliest encounters with service taught me the power of my voice. My younger brother, Brendan, was diagnosed as severely autistic when I was 8 years old. He is now 13 and what I like to refer to as a Sour Patch Kid. Having a brother with special needs bred me to be both an advocate and a companion. Brendan taught me that service demands a recognition of my own privileges and blessings in order to help extend those gifts onto others. A true act of service is fueled by an outpour of love and a thirst for justice. The qualities most emphasized at prep, the characteristics of a grad at grad: loving, open to growth, intellectually competent, religious, and committed to doing justice, all culminate to produce service leaders. Intellectual competence informs us of inequalities and the suffering of others. Living out our faith doubles as being loving men and women who are determined to bring greater glory to God through how they live their lives. And in order to adequately emulate the Spirit of God, the Spirit of love, we are called to be open to growth. As Maya Angelou said, do the best you can until you know better. When you know better, do better. Thus, our openness to growth, religious affiliations, lovingness, and intellectual competence support our need to proliferate social justice, our need to serve. Many of my fondest memories at Scranton Prep are those from my summer service trip and alternative spring break. I've never seen such radical kinship than the collaborations that ensue while working at a Habitat for Humanity worksite. I've been humbled to tears watching a little girl blow out her birthday candles after spending the entire day volunteering painting another person's house. I felt my heart expand with pride as I witnessed my friends, with whom I've built and set walls with all day, begrudgingly leave the worksite, as we all wished we could stay and continue our labor of love. Service work taught me that people aren't asking for handouts. They're asking for a hand up. My time at Prep has empowered me, urged me to offer my hand. To my community at Scranton Prep, I love you and I miss you. We are experiencing an unprecedented hardship, but I believe that amidst these difficult times, we have an opportunity to reflect. Do you have a hand that you can offer? The world, arguably more than ever, needs you. We have been forced to acknowledge our responsibility to one another, our ability to protect one another from unnecessary or preventable harm. In the rush to return to normal, I urge you not to forget the poignant truth. We belong to one another. May your years at Prep echo that message and teach you what it means to be who God created you to be. To the class of 2020, I am so proud to have spent nearly 4 years learning from you. I firmly believe that the challenges we have faced and will continue to face in the following years will continue molding us into men and women with grit and a greater appreciation for community. May we always remember to keep faith, be loving, remain open to growth, enrich our minds, and work for justice for all. I have no doubt that we will set the world on fire. Thank you.
It is my honor to present 3 seniors with a very special award, the President's Award for Educational Improvement. This award recognizes students who have shown outstanding academic growth and improvement during their 4 years at Scranton Prep. I am thrilled to announce that the recipients of this year's President's Award for Educational Improvement are Thalia Alvarado, Eddie Lopes, and Zoe Mulligan. Congratulations. We will now virtually recognize the senior members of the National Honor Society, highlighting a sample of their activities and accomplishments through their 4 years at Prep that have helped them qualify for the National Honor Society. When these students come to graduation rehearsal, they will receive their National Honor Society medal and they will wear it at graduation. Congratulations, seniors.